Hi everyone, welcome to our Wednesday Club. We're getting very used to doing this virtually, and I actually think this is a very effective way to do our Wednesday Club. And it also allows us to test different formats. So today we have wonderful guests with me, which I will introduce in a minute. But as part of the different format, we also want this to be a discussion about a topic that is very much in my mind during this COVID period, and frankly, much before that. And it's about the digital transformation for our group. Now, digital transformation may be a topic that sounds very complicated or sounds very much linked to the phone, but essentially what we have been looking to do in the last year or so is to use technology in a smarter way to make our businesses, our operation more efficient. COVID happened to be a big accelerator of that. And there are a number of businesses that have taken that and really accelerated their future during this last couple of months. This time what we would like to do in the Wednesday Club is to have a little panel discussion with me. We have 4 different businesses or different business leaders who have really driven part of our technology transformation. We will talk about what they have done, the philosophy behind it, and I hope that you take this as an opportunity in your own business to think about how you can use technology in a different way. I would also say that this week is an interesting week. We've just moved back to our campus. Various businesses have started coming back to the office over the last week or so. Yomo Bank has been fully in the office last week. Campus is back on. And Wave Money, I think, is coming back in a week or so. I remind all of you every single time, but it's something that's very important. Please remember the social distancing measure and the hygiene measure is very important. We are only able to come back to the office because we feel safe. We've done a number of things to make us feel even more safe, whether that is testing for everyone who comes back in, or the assessments that we are doing before people come in, as well as various things that we've done around the office to allow people to have a bit more distance. You would have noticed that we've increased the number of ferries to allow people to have more space in the cars. We're also using car share to encourage people to have their own cars if necessary. Many of these things are really there to stay, and we hope that this will create a better working environment. We're also going to drive flexi work much more going forward. For those of you who feel comfortable and efficient in working from home, we will encourage more use of work from home. And in fact, I think I'm very pleased to see that the Work from Home in a Box training program has been a great success. I want to thank all of you for your active participation. Through this period, it's been clear to me that workplace has been a great source of community for all of us to get together, to talk about whether it's hobbies or work or difficulties at work. And Work from Home in a Box was one of those programs that we put on Workplace that has really helped many people to drive efficiency from working from home. So look, without further ado, what I would like to do is we'll quickly introduce my panel, but also just talk specifically about technology transformation. And because of that, I would ask all of you that there will be a Q&A session. For your Q&A, we would love for you to ask questions, but specifically around technology. Of course, there are many other COVID or other People 2020 initiatives that we are launching, and I look to address those in future sessions. But this one, let's talk about technology. So with me, we have Brett Jones, CEO of Wave Money, Katie Hein, who runs the Yomo car share business that the chairman spoke very passionately about last time. I have Katie from HR, which is going to talk about specifically our development of Yomo Connect, but also our development around the HR administration, which is using much more technology. And lastly, Tim from KFC, which has really helped us to really buffer the last couple of months of difficulties during this COVID period and driven the food delivery business in a very unique and different way. But let me start with Wave, because of course in the last few weeks we've announced this very exciting deal with Ant, which we've talked a little bit about, but maybe Brad, if you can just share a little bit about how that came about and what that means for your business.
Sure. Thanks, Melvin. I'm very pleased to be here. We're phenomenally excited about this Ant deal. I think it's pretty. If you work in the fintech space, there's nothing bigger than Ant Financial. And when you look at some of the companies that they've invested in around Asia, companies like Paytm in India, companies like Gcash in the Philippines, also owned by the Ayala Group, this puts Wave in quite an amazing company actually. So, and it's really thrust Myanmar really into the press in the fintech world. And as a partner, we really couldn't ask for a better partner. We've already started working with them on things like technology and looking at a roadmap to upgrade our technology. So for us, we couldn't have found a better partner.
And we always talk about this concept of a lifestyle app. I mean, tell us about your kind of your vision of that.
Sure. I mean, the vision we have for Wave in the future is it's going to be very different to what you see today. We will be the super app of Myanmar, and this is following a similar path to a lot of the other companies that Ant's invested in. And really, it'll be the centre of your digital life. You'll be able to do everything from buy movie tickets, to order food, to pay for your travel, to send money to loved ones, buy airtime. So all these different things. A lot of these things you can do in the app today, but we're really aiming to become the universal super app for the country.
Yeah. So we'll definitely come back to how you would develop it and what that means for our businesses. But let me just go around a little bit first. I'm going to go this side since we talked about lifestyle app. Food delivery. I mean, you can't go around town without seeing all these bikes getting in your way, delivering food. But tell us about what you've been doing on the food delivery side for KFC.
Yeah, sure. So it's Myanmar sort of pre my time getting here as well. It's turned pink and green and yellow with the delivery, and it's been a pretty exciting time because the aggregators have come in with a big storm, and normally a country like this would take some time, and you would have a learning curve. But when Grab came into the market late December and Foodpanda in February, rolling into COVID, we had a massive spike. So sales in January were only 20 million, which was about 1% of our business. To April, when we had 35% of our sales coming through the delivery channel, which basically changed your structure because customers order differently, they interact differently with basically how they interact with the brand. Which meant that we have to pivot on the business really quickly.
Yeah.
And actually they only cover about 21 of our restaurants. So there's still 25 of our restaurants which they don't cover. So there's a huge upside to this. It's just been a really fast journey.
I was, when we started this, I was originally thinking, how difficult can it be, right? Everyone else does food delivery and they just call the app and they order from you. But you've done quite a few things exclusively with them and also with pricing, etc. Tell us a bit more about how you made it work.
Sure. So there's a couple of different strategy models. So then from a Foodpanda point of view, they're more targeting trips. So they've done a heavy discount. So they're looking at full menu discounts. Whereas Grab is looking at ticket. So Grab wants you to order higher meals, right? So, and then obviously there's commission based. So when you look at delivery pre-COVID, what you were doing is you were adding a small percentage of sales, which can leverage your fixed cost. But then when you have all of a sudden such a large percentage of your sales coming from a platform like this where you pay commissions and delivery fee, it's been quite challenging. So aggregators are an amazing thing for our business, but they're also a real challenge. So you sort of have to dance with the aggregator a little bit. So we came at it from a point of view of real partnership. So we partnered with them on things like the water bottles, I think you might see as well. So we went out pretty quickly and said thank you to the riders because these frontline people were very important to us. So we bought 3,500 water bottles because, it's 40 degrees, they're on push bikes. And so, to make sure that they're hydrated and just give back. So we did that for the aggregators, which sort of built a bit of trust in that relationship. The second thing we did was we actually launched our own delivery. And we came at it from a different angle than what they were doing because they were doing mass delivery, which meant it was very hard for them to do the contactless that everyone was looking for.
Yeah.
So we went very short. We did walking delivery, but we made sure it was targeted at food safety, which is what we're all about.
Yeah.
Now, we only do it across 5 restaurants right now, and there's not a huge amount of sales coming from it, but the brand love and brand awareness that's coming from this has been quite good.
So on the screen, you can see people kind of walking with these beautiful boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really the branding that we're getting.
That's
from
the
it.
branding we're looking for. We got quite good engagement for that. But the upside to that is then the aggregators are sort of looking at you. Okay, you're going to take over our delivery space. So then they're wanting to come to us to do some more deals. So that's the dance of the aggregators that we've been working on.
So I'm going to come back to you on some of the deals that you struck because those were quite interesting. But just on the point about hygiene and just being kind of extra careful during this COVID period, we talked a bit about Yoma Car Share as something that may be a very interesting replacement for taxis right now because people get to drive their own car and it's hygienic, etc. Maybe, Katie, can you talk a bit about kind of what you are doing during this period to drive Yoma Car Share?
So for Yoma Car Share, we are allowing the flexibility to our customer is hourly or daily rental period, and we are offering the freshest fleet, which is our latest model, and then we have a variety of vehicles from compact like Swift to SUV and everything. So during this COVID period, what we have done is after the car comes back from reservation, we disinfect the car and then we clean the car and be ready for the next reservation as well. And we have also introduced the return to work promo rate as well. And after the lockdown in April, you can see that people are looking for contactless, cashless transportation, and my utilization, the reservations go jump from like 15 to 20 during lockdown to now over 70%.
Well, 15, 20% to 70%.
Within a month.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's probably because the chairman was selling it for you.
Yes. Thank you.
So I know we don't have many cars now, but I think we're still driving this business. But one of the things that we've been advocating is technology transformation should not be just customer facing. A lot of it has to be backward facing, kind of how you drive your business. So can you talk about how the technology is driving your back end, how to make it more efficient?
Right now, everything on CarShare is fully automated. We don't have to see the customer. It's contactless. So once a customer registers on our website or the mobile phone, we deliver the tap card. So this tap card, you can open the car at any rental hub in Yangon or nationwide. We have about 15 rental hubs in Yangon and we are growing, so the nationwide will be 25. So you can reserve a car on our website or mobile phone and then go to rental hub and open the car. So even if you forget your tap card in the car, you can lock and unlock the car from your mobile app or the website.
And one of the big reasons was we didn't want too many people to have to manage this network.
Yes.
Everything can be done through technology.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Right now, we do have system operators, but we are heading toward the BI in terms of digital transformation. And so in the future, we plan to predict which cars to be put in which rental hub and focus. And besides, right now, our payment options are credit card and debit card. And now we are working together with Wave for the seamless and faster payment option as well.
That's very good. We'll come back to you a bit more later, but on the point about internal transformation, I think most of you on camera, kind of watching this, would have involvement with Yoma Connect. And I'm so pleased that Yoma Connect has become kind of a center of how we communicate with everyone. But there's a lot more in plans. And Katie, maybe you can share with us what is our vision for Yoma Connect in the future.
Sure. Well, I would certainly say that I hope everybody that's listening in today has had connection with,
we need to check whether the chairman
Yoma
has
Connect.
It later.
We'll have to check that for sure. But it is it's an incredibly important tool that we're going to be using to engage with our employees as we move forward. I think what we saw happen with COVID was we were very fortunate actually that our group IT had rolled out the app to a large base of our employees, about 5,700 employees. And COVID happened, and one of the challenges of COVID was that we needed to be able to communicate with our employees. Yeah. And something that we haven't been able to do in the past is have a communication channel where we can reach the majority of our employees. And one of the benefits that we had with rolling out Yoma Connect was we suddenly had the ability for you personally to be able to communicate through videos and be able to reach out to a very large audience, which in the past we've not had. So obviously in terms of a communication tool and where we want to be able to communicate and engage with our employees, having a digital solution to be able to do that is key to us reaching. So many of our employees are remote. Our businesses are plotted all over Yangon and all over the country, and we need to be able to reach our employees.
And it's really a two-way communication, because I remember when we were trying to do contact tracing or registration of travels, we're able to embed some of these forms into Yoma Connect, where people can easily declare and automatically kind of come into a list, right?
Exactly, and I think the journey that we're on is that we are building this system and we are customizing it to what we actually want as a business. In terms of the HRIS system and the system being able to digitize some of our operations that we have today, that's a journey that we're on. So we currently have a system where we can track things like leave, and very shortly we're actually going to be pushing out some new digital forms such as probations and promotions, transfers, etc., that they will be digitized, and managers will be able to run those transactions in a digital way, which today it's all around pushing papers.
Tell us 12 months from now, what can Yoma Connect do for us?
So in 12 months from now, in terms of our HRIS system, we should have an end-to-end HRIS system that tracks the life cycle. So from the day a new recruit is offered a position, we go into an onboarding process. The onboarding process brings that person in, that new employee, into the business on day one, and there's a whole a digital process and transformation that we can have to streamline some of what's very manual today. Then we move into a probation life cycle, and then the entire life cycle of an employee, which takes you through until when somebody is offboarded and exits. So we want to bring in digital transformation for so much of what today is a very manual process.
I think it's great. I mean, I do have this vision that, first of all, things should be, our lives should be much more paperless. Yeah. So from day one entering into the group, the training that's provided, the information provided to each individual, to the performance reviews, to tracking of salary and bonuses and payment of those, to kind of reviews of what you should be teaching and learning, to eventually promotions, etc. That can all be on this platform. And actually, we're also moving workplace onto that platform. So in the future, this should be something that people can use on a kind of daily basis to do multiple things. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's, there's the HR side of it, which is obviously going to service the needs and improve the lives of the HR employees. But what, in terms of the businesses and the employees, how are they going to engage in this system, and what benefits will it bring for them? And it's really going to be about improving that employee engagement. So it's not just going to be management feeding information. That will be one part of it, but it will be that interaction that management can actually have with employees. So the idea that we can actually survey our employees, or run a pulse survey to understand a particular issue, or and actually be able to get to all of our employees through that one system. So it really is going to be a single system where we can connect and engage with our employees on so many different levels.
And it's interesting, a lot of these things that we're building or we're thinking of, there are places where we will connect, right? I mean, a few days ago, we were having a meeting on one of the People 2020 initiatives. In case anyone is asking, that's still on, and we're still working very hard at it. We'll be launching some of these initiatives very soon. But one of which is a better food program, basically improving the canteen. And actually, we have this whole plan on a very cool place, but also very good food. And we wanted to make it cashless, so we need to plug in Wave. And I know you've had kind of conversations, even today, with our team on figuring out how to do that. But also linking it to payrolls, etc. The great thing is some of these things, technology will converge, and hopefully will make it much more kind of seamless, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing. There's so many opportunities for partnership amongst the group where we can actually work together, and we can look at integrating things like Wave or CarShare and seeing whether it makes sense to put them and embed those into Yoma Connect. Yoma Connect is something, the benefit we have with that is it's something we're building in partnership with Next Labs. So, it is something that actually can and will evolve over time. So it's not like we're buying an off-the-shelf product. Exactly.
On the point about collaboration, I know there are already things that we are doing collaboration on, and In fact, we just rolled out the telemedicine consultation, which is in the future maybe even put on Yoma Connect as well. But right now, that is on the platform. Anyone can get consultation for free, and people who need to pay can pay through Wave. But there are many other things that people can pay through Wave right now in the group. I mean, Brad, can you talk about where you see collaboration with all the business entities?
Yeah, sure, Melvin. I think first and foremost, I'd really encourage everybody to get a WavePay account. So if you don't have if you don't have WavePay, please download it and register. Even if you've been a customer maybe 12 months ago, 2 years ago, the product is very different. We have over 97 billers, and we're adding new billers every month. So you can use WavePay. You'll be amazed actually what you can use WavePay to do. Tonight, actually, my technology team is actually rolling out a new API with Yoma Bank that's going to greatly improve the onboarding process for customers. It's going to greatly improve the way you can link your Yoma Bank account. So you won't need to go into a Yoma Bank branch anymore, which I'm sure people will be very, very happy about. So, you know, when Myanmar gets up and going again, we've got things like event ticketing integrated, we've got travel integrated. So there's all these different use cases that WavePay has. So I think, but the first thing I'd say at an individual level, please become a customer, right? We'd love to have you join. At the corporate level, since COVID started, I think we've seen some really good collaboration with almost every business. Actually, I'd say every business, actually. So we're talking to every business in the group at the moment, and we're talking about things like cash collection for them. We're talking about disbursements for them. We're talking about things like expense disbursements. We're talking to the hospital. We've got an agent inside the hospital. So all these things have actually been happening. But I'd really encourage anyone on the call, if you get into the product, have a look at it, look at the use cases that are there, and reach out to me or anyone on my team, and we can talk about how we can help you.
And you know, it's interesting, when I talk about Wave Money, many people think of an e-wallet, and they think of what other countries have done, which is really merchant payment. But in many ways, that is not how we are built. That's not the core of what we're going to be doing or what we're currently doing. I mean, I have a Wave Pay app, and I use it. You know, first of all, you can put money in at the campus and also at the country store. Every time I go to country store, I forget to bring my cash, so that is the only way that I've actually paid for anything.
Yeah.
I was going for a walk yesterday. I wanted ice cream. That was the best way to to pay. Airtime, I get 4.5% discount. So there are lots of things that you can do. But I mean, other than merchant payment, what else can people actually use it for?
I think one of the things when people think Wave Money in this country, what they think automatically is the OTC, the over-the-counter money transfer.
Yeah.
And we've been hugely successful with that product. Like Puint, our brand ambassador, is famous. She's made us famous. We've had over 20 million people since we've started have used that product. But what we're trying to do now is not shift away from that, because that's still an important revenue earner for us. But we're really starting to bring WavePay into front and centre as well. And over the last 12 months in particular, we've been doing a lot of work on the product to make it a really attractive product. So I think, you know, if I go through the use cases, what I use the product for, I pay domestic help at home through Wave, and then they're then able to send that to their family back in the village. I pay my internet bill, I buy airtime, you know, I buy tickets occasionally when ticketing events are back on. But in terms of QR code payments, we've been a bit careful about that. And I'm sure every single person here has gone out and seen one of our competitors out in the market with blue signs everywhere. They've rolled out tens and tens of thousands of merchants. But we know on good authority they're not getting many transactions. And that's one of the dangers of rolling out QR codes, is that if you can spend a lot of money rolling out a network that doesn't get much use. So we're being a little bit more careful about it. So we're talking to Tim, for example, at KFC at the moment. So very shortly you'll see us in KFC. We're obviously at the country store. We're talking to a couple of other big brands. So we're going to be much more targeted about the way we do merchant payments. We'll get the learnings from that, and then we'll incentivise it as well. So it'll be very attractive to go, for example, to buy your KFC chicken through WavePay. And then we'll take it in steps. And this is where Ant's going to help us a lot as well. Ant have so much experience in this space that they're really advising us to go a bit slower, but to get it right.
Yeah, and they were advising us to really go high transaction frequency places as well, not just number of merchants.
Exactly, and you know, the number of merchants I go into that have these stickers of our competitor,
Yeah.
and I think no one is ever going to do a digital transaction in here, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to KFC, it's the same sort of segment that we're talking about. It's the digital natives that are using KFC, and these are the WavePay users. So I think we've got the right strategy, and I think over time you'll start to see this network grow out.
And I'm going to ask you more about Ant's involvement in improving the technology stack and how you're planning on that. But actually, let me just go to Tim first, because I know that the couple of topics that I thought was very well done by KFC. One is on the marketing side, digital marketing, and then the other side is also on the back of house, improving our efficiency and predicting kind of volumes, etc. Can you tell us a bit about those?
Sure. Yeah. Look, and that's the thing when you buy into a big brand like KFC, you obviously get some of those benefits. So coming into the Yoma Group from the Yum side of things, there's some fantastic knowledge that I can bring in, but also there's some wonderful work that the group here has done that we can leverage, whether it be the group HR staff or whether it be being able to be connected to the people like Wave Money has been super helpful. From a marketing point of view, Sue and the team do an amazing job with our Facebook. The organic reach that she's been able to get with a lot of this stuff has been excellent. We had quite a cool story just last week. So we actually went out and said that we're hiring team members for the first time, and Tinza did that on her small Facebook page, which is about recruiting employees. And a normal post would get a reach of about 1,000 sort of people. That's organic reach. This one got over 150,000,
Wow.
which is amazing because we're able to be sort of a brand that is helping everyone through COVID, which is something that we're very proud of and that's working quite well. But what we're learning is that the digital transformation for the customer can't outpace the digital transformation for the employees. So, and we see this a lot when you go and roll out kiosks or you go and roll out delivery or you go and roll out apps. If you don't get your back-of-house systems in order, it becomes quite clunky, and it's easy to acquire customers. It's super expensive, but it's easy to acquire customers because you can buy them. To keep them is very hard. And so if the user experience isn't there, whether it be for the team member who's going through a clunky system for when they're working back of house, or whether they're doing their HR annual leave claims, or whether they're doing anything, or whether it's from a customer point of view where Food Panda's order comes late, or the app breaks down, or the payment doesn't work, that's where you get into trouble. So with digital transformation, I think pre-COVID, everyone was sort of going into it with a bit of confusion and caution. And what we're seeing a lot of people now do is they're going in with panic and they're going really fast, which is dangerous. But as long as you work on the digital strategy with urgency and not, sort of complacency, you should get to a pretty good place. Yeah. So we're just trying to make sure, and it sounds like, Wave's doing the same thing, is don't overcommit, but the user experience has to be good.
It's quite interesting. I think Yoma Bank also got this advice that our own staff's digital experience is also something, or the user experience is also something that we really need to care about, because the more easy it makes our own people do our work, the better they will serve our customers. So it's not necessarily just about how we directly serve our customers through technology. Yeah. And in many ways, I actually think that car share, the reason why we have the car share business structured in this way is because without the technology, we would never be able to scale it, and we would never have a commercial business model to make this work, right? But maybe you can talk a bit about kind of the reach that it allows, this technology allows us to get to customers. Because I know we have a lot of airports who are connected, etc.
Traditionally, if you want to rent a car at an airport, you will still need to meet a few people, get the card, and then you have to give your passport copy, everything, the whole saga. But with Yoma Car Share, you can register on our website or mobile, and then we don't have to meet with anyone, because once the registration is finished, we send the tap card. So this tap card allows the customer to get our cars around the country, in Yangon, anywhere. They just have to book it. So with this model, we can scale it anywhere, anytime. The customer can book, rent on the go. you are at Myanmar Plaza and suddenly you don't want to use a taxi, you want to rent a car, so you can pick up a car at Malaya. So it's seamless, and that's why it's very scalable business.
Yeah. And how many airports do we have connected right now?
Right now, I have a rental hub in major airports around the country, like Heho, Bagan, Mandalay, Dawei, even up country Myitkyina and Lashio. So, and we plan to grow it in the future as well.
And you know, one of the topics around technology in my mind is about the need for continuous improvement. So it's not there's actually no steady state for technology. You're always trying to improve. Maybe we can talk a bit about kind of what are the areas that you are looking to improve, and what have you done in the last 6 months?
Okay. The question that most people ask me is like, you don't have car, or there are no car parks at the campus parking. But that's not true, because we have this rule like within office hour, like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you reserve 4 hours prior to your reservation time, you can get any car within the city. That was very, it's called City Search. Previously, we only, when we turn on the City Search, it's allowed us 4 hours. But we have worked with our IT and then changes to flexible time frame. So right now, it could be 2 hours advance, 3 hour advance based on our available inventory and everything. So this is what we have been doing. So a customer, even at night, if we turn on the City Search for 10 hours, so you can book in advance 10 hours prior.
You move the car to the location.
Correct. Previously, it wasn't possible if you turn off the City Search. So this is one of the improvements that we have done. Another thing is before only Master and Visa card customer can book with us. Right now, we have allowed JCB and debit and credit card as well. So we are reaching more customer base. And in a few months, maybe with Wave, we are even reaching more people.
And actually, I'm going to ask Brad first. On the point about continuous improvement, what are the things that we've done in the last 3 months, and what do we expect in the next 6 months?
So there's the back of house stuff, of course, that customers don't see, and that's just as important, sometimes probably even more important than the front of house stuff. So in the last 3 months, we've actually stood up a second data center in Mandalay. So we now have full disaster recovery, and we're moving to what's called a hot disaster recovery, so that we're constantly synchronizing between the two data centers. So that was actually a big change for us, and it actually gives us a lot more, or gives me a lot more comfort that if we were to have a problem with our primary production site, that our secondary production site has done. On the customer side, we are constantly innovating. So I have a fantastic team of product owners and devs who are being driven by the business, but every month we're releasing new product. So we have a UX team, they're constantly looking for customer feedback. One of the great things that's actually happened out of COVID is that we had to put about 40 staff into our call center and actually become call center operators. So we saw that as an opportunity to actually get really direct customer feedback back to staff and actually to use that to actually improve the product. So we sent in our design and research team, and they sucked all that knowledge and all that feedback out of the staff that have been call center operators, and we've now baked that back into the product. And so a lot of the changes that you'll see coming out of the app will have come out of staff feedback, which we think is great. So
it's a great way of getting learnings. Yeah.
Yeah, look, and even my EA, Miss Puint, actually was in the call center, and she did a great job, and probably knows more about the product than I do now. So it's fantastic.
So Katie, in your view, what are you planning to do for continuous improvement in the next few months?
Sure. So no more forms. We don't want paper. We don't want to be signing forms. Managers should no longer. We shouldn't have people run.
And that's already being rolled out. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've started. We've started by designing forms, and we are working on the training that needs to be rolled out to managers on a select number of forms. So we want to move to a more paperless way of working and moving more to a digital file for our employees. At the moment, we house employee files as paper files. The long-term vision is it'll be a digital file. And secondly, I think where we're heading to in terms of employee engagement, we use, or at least a part of the business uses Workplace. But we're missing out more than 50% of our employees who aren't able to access Workplace. So we want to come up and build a solution into Yoma Connect that will have a workplace style functionality to it that will have the engaging, fun aspects of the social media aspects. That will be a communication tool. We'll have the chat function similar to how we have Workplace now. So it will really elevate the way that we can engage with a much, much broader audience.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to having kind of all of those workplace and chat function within Yoma Connect, because this will really give us a reason to use it every day. Yeah.
And I guess in the future, something like this will be streamed live through WorkChat. So you know, embedding a video conferencing capacity in there rather than having to figure out other tools that are out there on the market.
Right. And I'm going to ask Tim the same question, but just to remind everyone, we're then going to open up to Q&A. So please send in your questions. Tim?
So you're asking
What developments are you expecting in the next 6 months to continue to drive technology as well as your business?
Sure. So we will be rolling out, we're calling it a digital diary basically, but all of the checklists, all of the temperature checks, all of the operational things that we need to do back of house, you know, we'll have an app for that. So the amount of checklists and cleaning checklists, that all needs to happen. So we definitely need to integrate that. We as a KFC group and an F&B group want to make sure we're very aligned with the group stuff. So you might see some cool workplace competitions come through, like that we've just had. We have coming a two-head challenge. I've sort of given away the secret, but basically you'll be voting on what chicken looks the best. And but we do certainly want to connect to all of that stuff. The one we're working through now is the customer-facing taking of orders, and that's a real challenge. So there's a trend around the world for this curbside pickup, which basically you order your food, basically, and then you do a curbside pickup. So the customer will bring it out to you. So rather than doing the own delivery, so we're just watching that trend very closely, working out how we manage our own delivery, because our own delivery channel right now is through phone call to the restaurants, which is what our competitors are doing. If we do go and take all of those orders, you know, it's going to be expensive. It's going to could be overload. So we need to move at it with a bit of caution. And there's also the option of taking the order, but then using the multiple aggregators, even outside the aggregators of Foodpanda and Grab, to do the last mile delivery. So the back of house stuff, we're pretty clear on where we need to go. The customer facing stuff, we need to work out the strategy, and that's where we're sort of working, you know, internally as well and across the food and beverage business. We actually we talk once a week on the food and beverage business. We connect with YKKO a lot. Yeah. We talk about all of our delivery plans and digital plans to make sure that we leverage, you know, the internal knowledge that we've got, but make sure we're building across the system.
And, you know, before we go to the questions, we did talk about the one great thing that you did in negotiating, and that's around your exclusive deal with Foodpanda, which has really given us such a big boost. Can you say
giving
something
away
about
my
that?
secrets? Or?
Not too much secrets, but
no. Look, basically, with the aggregators, we if we wanted to generate top line sales, we can give discounts, right? But basically, what the aggregators like Foodpanda have done, they've come in and they've discounted to the customer, but they haven't on charge it to us. So what they're doing is they're buying that customer from us. So in the future, hopefully, that customer, you know, shops with them. And then they generate that data, and then at a later period in time, they can increase the commissions, and that will hit us heavily. So we've had a bit of a Mexican standoff in a few places, but we've been able to get some quite attractive deals, heavily focused around the bucket. So through the COVID, there's an insight that people want to feed their family. So we had be a KFC hero, buy a bucket. You would have seen me throw a water bucket of KFC on my head and shamelessly promote it. But you'll see there. So basically, what we did with Foodpanda is we said that, you know, we want KFC heroes, you know, someone to feed the family with a KFC bucket, and it really worked quite nicely. We did get the aggregators to sponsor a bit of that. But then we also did this beautiful sort of gift with purchase. So the aggregator would deliver the food, but we'd put in a fries, and every customer got a handwritten letter, because the customer, we can actually see their name now. So we basically said, you know, hi Katie, thank you for being a hero and feeding your family during COVID and a tough time.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
And so it all sort of worked into the strategy of, you know, being a brand that helps, you know, Myanmar through this from a consumer.
And the one learning that I got from your involvement with the food aggregators is not the same customer that we're chasing for, right? You know, it is actually, technology allows us to chase for a whole new set of customers. and you have to be very distinctive about how you chase after that. So whether it is focusing on big buckets rather than the normal meals, packaging meals in a different way. I think we just have to be very conscious about that. So with that, let's move on to Q&A. The first question is, of course, a difficult question to Wave.
Sure.
So the question is, opening up a Wave account is easy, but getting linked with Yoma Bank is not so easy, and increasing the wallet limit is a bit of a hassle. Are there any plans to make it easier?
I would disagree with this. It's actually not a bit of a hassle, it's a massive hassle. So I think, look, we've seen the pain point that has come from this, and actually we plan to address this, but it was a massive change actually. And because we're integrating into other banks as well. And that change has been, we've been working on it now for many months, and it actually goes live tonight. And what it will mean is that there'll be improvements to the customer journey with Yoma, and it enables us to actually integrate other banks as well, because our platform didn't allow us to integrate to other banks.
Right.
So customers won't need to go into a bank branch, but don't expect it all overnight. The change is going in overnight. We're exposing the functionality to about 5% of the customer group just to test that and make sure it's all working. We'll then expand that to 30% of the customer group, and then we'll open it up to everybody. So I would expect that come July, this pain point will have gone away.
And increasing the wallet, which I think is the level 2 or level 1.
Yeah, so the pain point's been that you've got to lodge your NRC,
Yeah.
right? So, and as long as you can lodge your NRC, it takes a couple of days for us to verify that, and that's not a selfie or a photo of your dog or whatever. And then the limits are increased.
Yeah.
And the good thing is the central bank have now made the limit change to 10 lakh per minute. So anyone on a level 2 account can send up to 10 lakh a day, which is actually a fair bit of money. So
Yeah, that's great. Second question, will the changes in lifestyle due to COVID be permanent or temporary? Who wants to take that? Would you want to start first? You have the mic.
I think there are certainly going to be some changes. I think we very early on in the process, we actually pulled together a team to actually build what we called the COVID playbook, and it was really to look at the opportunities and the threats that were going to come out of COVID. And obviously, digitisation was the big one. We've seen a mass digitisation. Our digital business is actually booming. We're going to come out of this flying.
Yeah.
Right, we're seeing double-digit growth. I mean, Melvin, you see the numbers, right?
Yeah.
It's actually
huge.
going very, very well.
Yeah.
So, our customers are increasing rapidly. So, I think Myanmar will see this rapid acceleration of digitisation, and I don't think that will change. I think we've really started on the path of that. And obviously, the workplace is going to change. That's going to change dramatically.
Yeah.
So I think that they're the two big changes for me.
Tim?
Yeah, I think in general there will be changes. There's no question that the way humans do things will change. That's a given. Do I want everything to stay the same? Absolutely not. From a dining experience in our restaurants, it's really poor. It's not a good. I can't go there, and we were talking about having a lunch as a team tomorrow, and we can't do it. It's really hard. So there's certainly a lot of things that we want to go back. Just from a interaction, we still want physical people in our restaurants. We don't want to continue down this trend of being 100% delivery business. There's a place for delivery in our business, but not necessarily in that sense. But digital, this has ramped it up. I think for many years everyone was sort of playing in the space, dabbling in the space in a lot of places. This has moved it much faster,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. It needed to happen.
And Katie, in terms of the workplace, how do you see the change? Is it permanent or temporary?
I think that we have learnt so much in terms of how we can work and work better. I think those people that have been working from home they're all zoomed out. But we've actually learnt that you can bring large groups of people together so easily by having a Zoom or a Teams call or a video conferencing call. You can actually run a weekly large team meeting at a management level and communicate very effectively to a large body of staff without having to convene them. So I think in terms of some of the skills, the new skills that we've actually acquired through COVID, I think that they are here to stay. I think we've demonstrated that we can work from home effectively. Perhaps it's not ideal to have an entire workforce working from home. That's not helpful. We still need that human interaction and the relationships that we have. But I think we can actually be very successful in some of the new skills that we've learned through this COVID period.
Very good. Next question. I think this is something that's quite interesting, actually. Katie, you can answer. How can we use customer data across Yoma entities to make things easier and better for customers?
I can give an example. Right now, I'm working with Memory Travels, so we are putting up a plan to do Yoma Kasha Drive or world-class drive. So together with Memory Travel, we can segment our customer cohort and then offer adventure package or the couple package, and then we can promote it together as a new sharing data and everything.
That's
Yes.
very good. Yeah.
I can give an example as well. I think there's a program we've had running now for about 12 months with Yoma Bank. That's been a tremendously successful program for us. So we use data of agents' incomes. So obviously a lot of our agents are actually receiving commissions every month. And I think now the number's about 16,000 agents. We've actually, Yoma Bank's issued a loan to them. Now my understanding is that not one single one of these agents had previously, some of them had bank accounts, but not one agent had previously had a loan from a bank.
Yeah.
So we've been able to bring 16,000 people into the formal financial system jointly with Yoma Bank, and I think it's a great example of how we've collaborated.
I mean, I think there is a long-term state where we would like to pull together customers across the different businesses and see how we can be much more proactive in integrating the experience. I don't think we're there yet, but and of course there are privacy issues, right? Bank, hospital, etc. But we're working through some of that. But the idea is we would like to be a company that's involved with the life cycle of everyone, from birth to death, kind of everything in between. We can provide financing services, food, cars, selling cars, renting cars, whatever it is. And I think it's important for us to basically drive that, because that makes the group much more powerful in delivering services to customers. The next question, the next question is around Yoma Connect and how we can embed benefits into Yoma Connect. What can you say about that?
How we can embed benefits into Yoma Connect. So, I mean,
So there's one thing that I know we're doing, which is telemedicine side, which we're trying to, I think that one of the issue with telemedicine is we need to verify identities, right? So that Yoma Connect will play a role in confirming the identity for people. And that is actually automatically going to be driven into clearing people back into work. You would have seen, some of you would have seen a message coming out that for people who are sick and they want, take a sick day leave and they want to come back into work, I think it's important for the hospital to also clear that they are safe to come back. So that will be fully embedded into Yoma Connect.
Sure. And there's going to be all of the forms that you currently need to fill out today. So say, for example, a medical claim form. Those claim forms will be in Yoma Connect. You'll be able to access those. It'll be a digital form. The long-term vision, obviously, is to have Yoma Connect directly linked into our payroll system. So in terms of having it connected and managing those benefits, when you're claiming something, it will be a direct claim, and so the system will actually just automate things so that you don't even need to know the difference. Is this a claim that goes to a finance, or is this a claim that's going through payroll? From an employee's perspective, it will be, I filled it out, I sent it to my manager, they approved, and the magic happened. I got my benefit.
That's right. And one of the People 2020 initiative is actually about employee perks. And that will be embedded into Yoma Connect as well, to give the KFC discounts, to give the special car share discounts. I think that can be done through Yoma Connect. Yeah. So next question. Actually, I'm not sure what this question is. How does corporate account at YCS work? Yoma Car Share, I see. And what's the difference between corporate and personal account?
For personal account, you have to register on the website and you need credit or debit card. For corporate account, you can apply for credit limit and credit duration. And when an employee reserve a car on our website, the manager or the authorized person can approve for reject. So this is all done with the email and digitally. So it's quite seamless. And with us, if the corporate use our Yoma Car Share, they don't have to worry about maintaining a driver or do the service for the car. And there is also insurance. And then we also have 24/7 support. So
Yeah, I think that's quite helpful. And I think one of the issues with the personal account is the need to maybe have an amount that's blocked with
400,000 deposit.
yeah, which is
block.
quite high. And
Yes,
we'll
but-
look to address that, but the corporate doesn't have that requirement.
No, we don't have.
Yeah. This is a very good question. What should leaders do to encourage digitization? Brad, you want to start?
Sure. I think the first and foremost role of a leader is to role model the right behaviour. So I think getting right behind the digitisation push from the very beginning, role modelling how work from home should be, if that's what your organisation is doing. And then I think one of the things we've seen actually about leadership during this time is the need to really reach down into the organisation as deep as you can go and really understand the individual circumstances of every single person, if you can, right? Depending on how big your organisation is. So I think this has certainly been one of the things that I've done is really tried to role model the right behaviours during digitisation and sort of really try to be as close to, over-communicate, be as close to our people as we can whilst we're working in this, what's been a very unusual time.
Yeah. Katie?
So for some people, they might resist to change and digitization. So you have to encourage your employees and you have to support how to use the digital format. Like Yoma Connect, some people are still using the forms, so you have to tell your employee, okay, these things are available, and if you don't know how to use, we can support and everything. So you have to be, like Brett said, a role model XML for the digitization. Yes.
Yeah. Katie?
I would say, we look for sponsorship with all of these things, and the sponsorship has to come from the senior leadership. When we want to push out new digitization solutions, digital solutions, it needs that push and that sense of urgency. And if that's not coming from the leadership, then it's very easy to come up against resistance when you're trying to implement and do the change management. So as long as we can partner with our leaders and get that push, then I think we get that sponsorship, which helps us to roll out things.
Tim?
For me, the number one thing is listen to the end user. So as a leader, what is that end user experience? That's number one. And second is listen to the experts. So as good as we think we may be in technology, there's always people who are experts in this field. So really, spending time with them. And then as a leader, you need to pivot the business. So we did that pretty quickly. We moved in a strategy team really quickly, led by Nwai at the moment, who's taking on, the delivery business, and then also all the changes that are coming. Having someone in that role now was key to making sure that we can pivot the business quickly when changes come.
I would say that digitization right now for many of our businesses is a side project. It's one of the functions amongst many functions. And I think for us to really be impactful, it needs to be the center of what we do. So one thing that I keep thinking is, it doesn't matter how small something is, if it's inefficient and you can digitize, automate, and make it more efficient, it is worthwhile doing. And because if you have the mindset of making the small things easier, you are allowing everyone across the organization to the lowest level to make changes. And once they are empowered to make changes, you will have much more changes happening across the organization. So as leaders, I would really encourage all of you, everyone in the Wednesday Club should really think in that way, that there is nothing that's too small to digitize, nothing too small to change. And when everyone is trying to make changes, it will make us a better place. So with that, thank you very much. We have, I really enjoyed the conversation. It's a bit too short. I think there's a lot more we can do. I think it's important to raise the awareness of how technology can play a role. I would encourage all of you watching this to reach out to my fellow colleagues if you have any specific questions. I mean, whether it is how to connect Wave into your business or how to use CarShare to make your operation more efficient, Yoma Connect or HR or the food delivery and how to deal with digital marketing, etc. I think there are lots of learnings that we've had in the last couple of months that is worth sharing. So with that, we're going to pass on to the chairman for his speech. Thank you.